welcome to another follow-along sculpting session. Today what we're going to do is we're going to sculpt Ryu from Street Fighter. We're going to include the face and also the neck. That's going to be the goal today. This is a more advanced tutorial, so I'm not going to go over where you can find all these sculpting brushes. So if you're still unsure, for example, how you or what the brushes are or how you use them, maybe the first few tutorials are a little bit better because there I fully explain where all the brushes are and how to use them basically. What we're going to use for this is, of course, a sphere, because I like using spheres to sculpt my pieces, and I think it's the best way to start. We need not only one sphere, we need two spheres. So we're going to duplicate the sphere again, put it aside. This will be for the eyes. The one in the middle will be for the head, and this will be for the eyes. Yeah, I mean, that's all that we need here in the layout mode. Let's switch to the sculpting mode so we can begin. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to retopologize this. We will work with dynamic topology, so remeshing it will erase all the error messages that we might get. So we're going to press Ctrl R, which will immediately remesh the sphere, and now we can go to the brush settings. The brush settings that are important is, first of all, we're going to enable symmetry. So we're going to enable Mirror X right there under the symmetry tab, and then we're going to enable dynamic topology. Enable that, and then we're going to use resolution 20, subdivide collapse, and constant detail. What we're going to use first is the snakehook brush. So, you know, the little squiggly line down here. We're going to begin by sculpting the head shape first. So we're going to use the cursor, make the cursor just roughly as big as the sphere is. We're going to go not in the middle of the brush, or not in the middle of the sphere, but a little bit aside from that. Leave some space in the middle, and then we're just going to drag it down like this. Not too much, not too long. Add half of the sphere in length. We're going to go to the side, and we're going to go to a 3/4 view like this. And then we're going to select this side here that we've just created, this edge. Take it, we're going to use the snakehook brush again and draw it to the right like this. There you go. Might look a little bit weirder. If it looks something like this, we can also go Ctrl Z and increase the cursor a little bit so we can create a cleaner line. Something more like this, for example. There you go. So now we've added the chin. You can see the head is quite wide. So let's change that. I also want to hide the sphere because we don't need it right now. It's kind of interfering with what we're doing. So now that we have the head, let's adjust the head shape. The most important thing for the head shape is, first of all, we want to make it slimmer. So we're just going to use the snakehook brush again and just push it into the middle. A good way to start is making the brush very big and then starting somewhere here in that height, pushing it together like this, maybe even up here a little bit more, so that we get something more like, maybe that's a little bit too much. There you go, something more like this. What's important for this is that the round part up here is wider than the chin. And the chin can also be quite straight downwards like this. There you go. So now that we have that, one thing that I want to adjust is the chin. So we're going to take the chin with the snakehook brush and we're going to bring it back a little bit so that it's sort of in the same line as everything else here in the front. And then there's one more thing that I want to do to refine the front of the face. We're going to switch to the grab brush, this one right there. And we're going to select the side part of the head right here. Grab the grab brush. We're going to make it quite big. We're going to press, hold, and then push it into the middle. So we can narrow down the front of the face, basically. The temple of his face, basically. So that if we look from the top, it will look something more like this. You could maybe even narrow this part a little bit more too. Not too much, just a little bit. Now that we have that, we can already see we have the top part of the head, we have the lower part of the head. What I want to do before we go to the face is I want to fill out the jaw. So the first step that we're going to do is we're going to use the crease brush, so this one right there. We're going to use it to make a little cut here to sort of create a nice clear line where the jaw ends. You can see right here how we create like this nice line right there, this ending for the jaw. And then we can also use the clay strips brush to flatten this part a little bit, just a little bit like this. There you go. We can then you hold shift to smooth it. Just kind of do this. There you go. Make it nice and flat. There you go. And then I also want to fill up this shape here, basically down here. You can see it has like a hole or like a dip. I want to fill out that dip by just adding more volume here with the clay strips brush. There you go. I want to make it smooth again, so I'm going to hold shift again to smooth the surface. Do the same here. Perfect. One thing you can do is you can go and press 1 on your numpad to go into the front view. You can also do the same if we go to view, viewpoint, and then front. That'll also lead you to the same view. And there you can more easily see how wide your head is without any viewport distortions. I think that's pretty good. There you go. Maybe my head is a little bit too long, so I'm going to push it a little bit up. That might be different for yours. I'm just going to push mine up just a little bit. There you go. So what I want to do now is I want to use the clay strips brush. I want to create the eye holes for his skull. The eye holes generally are in the middle of the head, height-wise. So we're just going to go and kind of measure with our eyes where the middle of the sculpt is. Probably somewhere over here. We're going to create the eye holes, somewhat like ovals that sort of point down just a little bit. Maybe they could even be, you know, just round cubes, you could call it. Make them fairly deep. There you go. And then what we want to do is we're going to rotate to the side, switch to the grab brush. We're going to go closer so that we can see the side of the, I guess, wall that separates the both eye holes. We're going to grab the grab brush. We're going to select that wall and we're going to pull it back a little bit. Another thing that we want to do here is we want to select the outer wall of the eye hole here. And we're going to draw it back or move it back a little bit too. There you go. Let's go to the next part. Let's add the general shape for the nose and for the lips. For that, I want to use the snake hook brush. We're going to go to the side again, or somewhat, not fully to the side, because we want to see the middle of the nose or the middle of the face. We want to go a little bit lower than, you know, eye height, just a little bit lower, roughly where the nose tip could be. So we're going to go and select the middle with our snake hook brush, and we're just going to pull it forward. Not too much. He has quite a flat nose. Then we're going to fill this volume here, or this sort of curve. We're going to flatten it by just pulling this geometry out too. There you go. Perfect. So we already have the nose. Looks already like a face. A little bit at least. I might need to pull my nose tip a little bit higher. So it looks something more like this. There you go. Okay. We need to add a little bit more structure to the face. So what I want to do now is I want to go to the side of the eyes here. And what I want to do is I want to just use the clay strips brush again. And I want to use it on the side here. What I plan on doing here is I plan on making this round surface here a little bit flatter. So I just try to make it nice and flat. Another way we can do this is by just using the smooth brush, holding shift with any sculpting brush basically. Make it nice and flat. So that if you look from the front, you can see these nice planes here on the side. And while we're at it, with the eyes, let's go to the forehead, or the forehead basically, and the eyebrows. Starting with a little trapezius or triangle here in the middle. We're just going to draw a trapezius right here. That looks like this, like a small cube, you know. There you go. We're going to then smooth it down here so that we can sort of create a nice transition to the nose. I see that my eyes are quite far apart. I'm going to bring them a little bit closer. That's probably better. There you go. So now that we have the middle of the forehead, I guess, or the eyebrows, let's go to the side. To create the eyebrow, the side of the eyebrow, we're going to just add triangles that look like this. They begin at the edge of the eyes right here, or the eye holes, and then you just go up, and then a little bit downwards again to the trapezius that we just created. We're going to add some more volume to them, and then fill out this triangle. There you go. So that we have the eyebrows. And then there's one more thing we need to add. We need to draw a line from here, from the eyebrows, backwards, like this, to finish, I guess, the eyebrow part. We can then smooth this to kind of integrate it into the shape so it doesn't look as if it's like drawn in. There you go. Perfect. Smooth it a little bit more. Perfect. So that's the beginning. There's one more thing that is part of the forehead, which is a sphere. The sphere is roughly here in this position. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the clay strip brush again and just kind of draw a sphere that looks something like this. Just very, very lightly. Doesn't have to have a lot of volume. It just kind of looks like this. As if the triangle kind of continues this shape, like this, like a U shape here. We're going to smooth this again, just so we can, you know, integrate everything, make everything look like it's part of one. There you go. And then we already have the forehead. Perfect. So now that we have the eyes, let's continue with the lower part, or we have the upper part of the head. Let's go to the lower part. For me, it seems like the jaw is quite wide. As I said before, the jaws, I think I said it before, the jaws should be thinner than the upper part of the head. It looks like it's wider right now, so we're just gonna push it in like that. Perfect. Let's go to the eyes now. Let's kind of finish the eyes when it comes to the skull part, or the bony part. What we want to do is we want to use the clay strips brush again, and we want to go to the sort of lower left quarter of this circle, I guess. We're going to go here, we're going to use the clay strips brush again, and we're going to draw a line that goes from here to the side like this, like a small little line that goes like this. There you go. Once we have this line, we're going to continue this line to the back. So basically go from here to the back like this. And that basically is the cheekbone. We've just added the cheekbone. What you can do here is you can maybe smooth this out like this. There you go. So we've just added the cheekbone. Let's refine it a little bit by just making it rounder. Right now we can see it's very flat. So just make it a little bit rounder here. Add some more volume to the side. There you go. To make it look like a nice little cheekbone. You can also see it in his face right there. That's what we want to add here. And then we're going to continue that all the way to the end. Perfect. Look at that. So how we're going to add the nose and the mouth? Well, we already have the shape. So let's continue by separating the nose and the mouth first. We're going to kind of take the cheekbones as a guide. And then sort of draw a line from the cheekbones into the middle like this. Create a V shape like this. This will be the separation of the nose and the mouth. So this will be the nose, and this down here will be the mouth. What we can then do, we can go to the side here, and we can kind of refine the nose just a little bit, maybe even make the crease brush a little bit stronger. And then we're going to go to the side and also create this sort of U shape for the nose. That looks something like this. There you go. It can be pretty rough in the beginning. What we're doing right now is we're just kind of laying out all the pieces that we need. Then afterwards we can refine it a little bit. So we have the nose right there. Let's go to the mouth. We're going to use the clay strips brush again. And we're just kind of dig in here a little bit to create like a nice little distance between the nose and the mouth. Right here. We can also use the smooth brush a little bit to just kind of ease it up. There you go. What we then want to do is we want to create like a ball shape that is representing his mouth. We're going to use the clay strips brush, and we're just going to draw a sphere or a ball that looks something like this. Perfect. Doesn't have to be too thick. I think that's a pretty good thickness. And then we want to do one more, which is down here for the chin. The chin, you can see, doesn't have a lot of structure right now. So let's add a chin structure too. We're going to do a tear shape. So basically drawing from here, from the bottom of the sphere to the side like this. And then add more volume at the bottom here to create a shape that looks something more like this. Start from the middle here, from the sphere, and then draw to the side like this to create this little the chin. Of course, you can see the chin is quite disconnected right now from the chest, from the rest of the jaw. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw a line from here, from the top, a little bit more diagonal to kind of create a nice transition from the chin to the rest of the jaw. If it's not looking too good right now, we can also just use the smooth brush again, holding shift and then tapping on it right here. There you go. So next up, we have the mouth. We're going to use the crease brush again. We're going to make it a little bit smaller, maybe even stronger, maybe like 0.6 or 0.7. And then what we're going to do is we're going to draw a line that starts straight, like this, maybe even a little bit lower. Although, no, I think it's a pretty good position. We're going to draw a horizontal line, and then we're going to draw a line to the end of this ball that we've drawn. So we're going to go from here downwards like this until we reach the end of this ball right here. Perfect. And then we already have the distinction between the lower lip and the upper lip. The next step that we want to do is we want to create the, I guess, basic shape of the lips. The best way to do that would be to use the smooth brush. We're going to hold smooth, or hold shift, of course, to smooth it. And then we're just going to smooth the edge that we just created by using the crease brush. We're just going to smooth this to create the upper lip. We're going to do the same at the bottom lip to create the two different lips. There you go. If you have some problems like I do here, where it doesn't really look like it's disconnected, there's not really a big crease, we can just go in again and just kind of, I guess, increase the crease strength. There you go. That looks better. And we already have, I guess, the beginning of the lips. If you have the same problem that I do have right now, that the lower lip is further forward than the upper lip, what we can do is we can just use the grab brush and push the chin and the lips a little bit further back. More like this. The best way to sort of gauge whether or not it's in a good position is if you go from the tip of the nose to the chin, it should create a diagonal line from here to here. The lip should be somewhere close to that, basically. We can also refine the lips a little bit more now. What we're going to do is we're going to draw these edges that we can see here. The way we're going to do that is we're going to go to the top first, and we're going to create the V that we can see here in the middle of these lips. The V is pretty simple. We're just going to hold Control to use the crease brush additively, like this. And if the V doesn't really jump out to us, we can also use it subtractively to kind of deepen the middle part here of the lips. There you go. It will look pretty rough for a while, but we can still create a pretty good face. But you just kind of have to get used to the sort of rough look that we have here. There you go. And then we also want to continue this V all the way to the corner of the mouth, this right here. So we're just going to grab it, or draw a line from here from the lip all the way down to the corner of the mouth, like this. Now that we have the upper lip, let's go to the lower lip. Lower lip is quite small too, so we're just going to start somewhere up here, start in the middle, and then draw close to or draw in direction of the corner of the mouth, like this. There you go. And that's the lower lip. There you go. There's one more thing that I want to do here. Underneath the lower lip, especially the middle, you have a pretty sharp decline, I guess you could say. So all I want to do here is with the crease brush again, I just want to remove some of that volume here. Like this. Doesn't have to be too much. Just something like this. There you go. Now that we have that, let's actually go to the eyes. I think we have everything except for the eyes and of course the sort of smaller structures of the face. So let's add the eyes now. Let's go to the layout tab again, back to the layout, and we're going to bring back the sphere that we had in the beginning. What we want to do with the sphere is we want to rotate it first by 90 degrees on the x-axis. So we're going to press R, X, and then 90. And then we have the sort of tip here of the sphere looking at us, basically. What we're going to do then is we're going to apply a modifier, which is the array modifier. On the generate, I guess, row, the first one, array, we're going to set the count to 7. And then we're going to press 1 again, so we can go to the front view, the front orthographic view. Numpad 1 to get there. Or you can use viewpoint, and then front. So what we want to do now is we want to determine the eye size. For men, what we can use is roughly 7 eyes next to each other, 7 eyeballs next to each other equal the head width. So we need to make it as small. We're going to scale it down until these eyes barely fit into the head. So something like this. There you go. There you go. That's the eye size, basically. The eyeball size. We're going to put it to the right. We're going to remove the array modifier. And then we're going to add a new modifier. The new modifier is going to be called mirror. It's going to be this one down here. And we're going to use a mirror object. The mirror object we're going to use is the head itself. So we're going to click this small little icon here, and we're going to select the sphere. That's basically the head. And then you can see we have 2 eyes. Now what we want to do is we want to place these eyes. So we're actually going to go back into orthographic front view, pressing 1 on the numpad. Where I want to place them is basically roughly in the middle of them, with 1.5 to 2. The eyeball should have like 1.5 to 2 of their width in between them. And also the eyeball can be a little bit closer to the eyebrows than the cheekbone. So I'm going to raise mine a little bit too. Maybe to there. Of course, we can see it's not in the head yet, so we need to do a few more adjustments. Well, one more. We're going to move it on the y-axis into the head. A good position for the eyeball in the head itself is to align the edge, the outer edge, I guess, of the sphere here with the cheekbone. See how the cheekbone ends right there, and the eyeball ends right there too. Perfect. Okay, let's go select the head again, and we're going to go to the sculpting tab again. there's one more thing that I want to change for the forehead. You can see the forehead is quite flat right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the grab brush. And looking from the top, we're just going to push this part of the forehead a little bit further forward so that we can create a nice round edge right here, if you look from the top, basically. We're going to select this and push it a little bit forward, like this. Oh. See how there's like a nice roundness to it? So now we have the eyeballs. Let's add the eyelids. We're going to use the clay strips brush again. And one setting that I have enabled is advanced accumulate. What that does is that it lets you, I guess, add more volume at once. Accumulate basically increases the maximum amount of volume that you can add by just brushing over the same spot over and over and over again. If you don't have that enabled, it might be harder to add more volume quickly. So what I want to do now is I want to create volume that basically covers these eyeballs. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw or add more volume behind the eyeballs with the clay strips brush in a circular motion like this to cover the eyeballs until everything is gone. So we have a nice little shell around it, basically. There you go. So now we have the eyelid volume. There's one more thing that I want to do before we can create the eye shape, which is I want to connect this middle ball here to the side of this, to this side here, and then also to the middle right here. Just going to create two connections to both. There you go. Let's go and create the eyeball shape. How we're going to do that is we're going to use the crease brush again, zoom in, and we're going to create like an almond shape. You can also kind of reference his eyes right now. Basically just creating like a upwards curve like this, and then a downwards curve like this. It'll be easier to I guess, adjust the eyeball or the eyelid shape later. So right now it can look quite rough. When we add more geometry, we can refine it a little bit easier. So once we've kind of created this hole here, we can go ahead and use the crease brush subtractively, so holding control, no, additively holding control to kind of refine the edge of the eyelid a little bit. Like this. You can use the smooth brush to make it nice and even. And that's basically the basic eye shape. There you go. Looks kind of weird right now, but that's all part of the plan. Okay. I think I want to place my eyes a little bit further back. So what we could do is we could go ahead and press Alt and Q on the eyes to select those in sculpt mode. And then we can select the move tool down here to just move them a little bit further back. We can then switch back to the sculpt and then move everything else a little bit further back too. There you go. Okay, so we have the eyes now. You can, if you want, already adjust the eye shape a little bit. You can see he looks kind of more angry, so we can maybe lower this part here and also raise the lower eyelid a little bit to close his eyes a little bit more. But that's not really what we're looking for right now. We don't want to shape everything. We just kind of want to include everything that we need. Let's add some fat, because right now it looks kind of goofy right now on the face. So after adding the fat, it'll look a whole lot better. Let's begin with the eyes. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to fill this space underneath the eyelids. That is sort of a hole right now. So we're going to use the clay strips again. I'm just going to fill this space underneath here. There you go. Just going to fill it until we kind of reach the cheekbone. There you go. Perfect. That's all we wanted to do here. Perfect. So that now that we've filled that, let's go to the upper part, to the upper eyelid. And what we want to do here is we want to fill this right side first. So we're going to fill it first, like this. There you go. So that we have like a profile view that looks something more like this. There you go. So it has like a nice slope down there to the eyelid. And then we want to fill this side too, but not as much as we've done for the right side. We want to leave it quite deep. So we're just going to add a little bit to make a nice slope down to this deeper part here in the middle. So it looks something more like this. You see this big plane here? That's what we want to add now. This big shape right there. Starting right here on the eye, we're going to draw a shape that just goes down like this. I guess it doesn't continue, I guess, connect to the nose. It just kind of follows downwards next to the nose. We're not going to connect it to the nose. We're just going to draw it down like this, so it creates a clear line next to the nose, downward to the side of the mouth, to the corner of the mouth, like this. And then we're gonna, you can see we've created this line here by sculpting it. We're gonna make it a little bit wider, so we're gonna draw it a little bit further back, and then we're gonna continue until we kind of reach this point. Here, if you go to the side, it looks something like this. And then we're gonna draw it back up like this. Okay. Fill the shape like this. There you go. The next fan pad that we need is right here on the jaw. This part we need to fill up. We can see we have a quite deep spot right here. What we want to do is we want to start here on the edge of the jaw, and we want to draw from here upwards like this, and we want to draw forward like this, and just kind of fill this space. Not fully, but we kind of still want to have like a slight distinction here between the cheekbone and the side of the jaw. But we kind of want to fill this space here on the side. We can also smooth it a little bit, and it should look something like this afterwards. Let's go to the lips real quick. We're going to adjust the chin and also the lower lip. What I want to do is I want to go down here to these two pieces here. We have one on the right side and we have one on the left side. These two that we've kind of created by digging a little bit deeper in the middle. I want to go to these and I want to just add a little bit more volume to them so they are a little bit rounder. So add more volume here in the middle to make them a little bit, I guess, rounder. Not too much, just a little bit like this. So that there's a nice transition from lip to down here to these pieces, or to these shapes like this. That's all I really wanted to do here. Then we go to the chin and we just kind of do what we've done before. We kind of highlight the shape of the chin a little bit more. As I said before, we're going to do a tear shape. So we're just going to draw it from here in the middle, downwards like this, and especially highlight the bottom part here. There you go. Something more like this. There's one more fan pad that I want to add down here, right next to the, I guess, corner of the lip. We're going to go here and we're going to add a little bit of volume here on the side, just like this. That's all that I wanted to do here. There you go. Doesn't change the look too much. It just kind of adds more volume there on the side. To add, I guess, the mean look in his eyebrows, what we need to do is we of course need to go upwards to the eyebrows, and we're going to create a little bit more volume here in the middle. So just add with the crease brush again, with the clay strip brush, just a little bit more volume here. That looks like two V shapes. The V shape should look something more like this. That's what we want to sculpt in here, basically. So we're going to begin down here in the middle where the eyebrows, I guess, connect. And we're going to then draw one line outwards to the corner of this triangle here. And then we're going to draw one more that is further in the middle here. That just kind of goes upwards like this. Very nice volume here. And then we can sort of ease it a little bit by adding slightly more volume here in the middle. And then smoothing everything by holding shift. Now let's adjust the proportions a little bit. Of course, mine will look probably a little bit different than yours. But I'm not going to fully explain to you, I guess, how you need to change yours. It's more subjective. But I'm going to show you what I'm looking at to change mine. One thing that I see is that his nose is thinner than mine, for example, right now. Mine is quite wide. So what I want to do is I want to use the grab brush for most of these. And I just want to push it a little bit further into the middle, the nose. Make it a little bit thinner right here. Another thing that I see is that his lips are a little bit thinner than mine right now. So I'm going to go to the lip, especially the lower lip. I'm going to push it up a little bit to create more of this. More of his sort of lip shape right here. I think I need to do the same for the upper lip too, just a little bit. Push it down. There you go. Now that we have that, let's go to the overall face shape. I want to make the jaw on the side a little bit thinner too. There you go. One good, I guess, indicator to see whether or not your eyes are too close together is if you look at the width of the nose. The inner corner of the eye should roughly start where the, I guess, nostrils end, looking from the front. If you see it right here, for me, if I draw a line upwards like this, you can see that's where my eyes start. So they're in a pretty good position. Maybe my head is a little bit too long, so I want to change the head shape from the side a little bit. I think one thing that I want to do is I want to highlight his jaw a little bit more. As you can see here, his jaw is quite defined, let's say. So I want to first of all make this jawline quite linear or quite straight. And then also I want to make this jaw a little bit more, I guess, angular like this. There you go. What I want to do for the head shape is I want to push the top here that is quite round right now. Just kind of push it down just a little bit. Not too much, just kind of a little bit. There you go. Another thing that I want to do is I want to go here to the top right part of the sphere or the head. I'm just going to push that in too, just a little bit. Not too much. Tiny bit. The most important part is that the head is the widest at the top here. Above the eyes, basically. Okay, that looks pretty good. There's one more thing that we need to add, and there's one more thing that I want to adjust here. As you can see here in the reference, you can see the nose kind of transitions to the eyebrows, and it is quite high, let's say. Ours is quite deep into the face right now. It has this big crease right here, this big dip. So we need to add an actual bridge right here. Let's add that now. We're going to go here into the middle and just kind of add a bridge that is going straight to the tip of the nose. You might not see it from the front view, but if you go to the side view, you can see it's supposed to look something like this. We can maybe even add a little bit more. Something like this. There you go. One other thing that I see right now is I think the nose for me is a little bit too long. His nose is quite short. So all I want to do is I want to push basically everything a little bit higher. If you want to make big adjustments in your face to adjust it, to get it to a similar look, is you can use the mask brush and mask everything that is supposed to stay in place. So I select everything that is right here, including the cheekbones. There you go. And now what I can do is you can go use the grab brush again and just kind of push everything up a little bit. Including the nose. I think that with that shape I'm quite happy. Let's go to the side of the face because we have one more thing that we need to add, which is of course the ears. The jaw should roughly end at the middle of the face when you look from the side. If you go from here, this is the front, this is the back, the middle is somewhere right here. So I think the jaw is in a pretty good position. What I want to do now is I want to use my crease brush to continue this jaw a little bit further into the skull here. Like this. There you go. Maybe remove some of this volume and make it nice and flat so we have some room here to add the ear. There you go, nice and smooth, using the smooth brush. There you go. We're going to grab the mask brush. We're going to go behind the line that we just drew for the jaw. And we're going to begin at the bottom of the nose, basically, right here. See? And then we're going to go all the way up to the eyelid, starting a line from the bottom of the nose right here, next to this line, and drawing it all the way up to the eyelid. What we're going to do then is we're going to create a C shape, basically, or half of a heart, I like to call it, which will look something like this. There you go. Maybe that's a little bit too round. Maybe something more like this. There you go. We're going to fill this shape. We already have the ear drawn out. Might be a little bit too high. We can maybe make it a little bit shorter. There you go. So now what I want to do is I want to invert this. What we're going to do then is we're going to change to the snake hook brush again. We're going to go to the back so that we can still see the shape. And we're going to pull out the edge, basically right here, the round edge. We want to pull out the round edge, not the straight edge here in the front, only the round edge. So I'm going to go to the back, use my snake hook brush, and I'm going to pull it out like this. And we're going to do that on this rounded edge down here too. Pull it out, and we're going to do the same up here. Pull it out again. There you go. You can see the ear got smaller because we had a certain angle at that we looked at it. So we're going to push this edge that we just created here a little bit out like this too. And that's basically the ear shape that we're going to use. You can see it's sort of protruding right here. So what I want to do is I want to create a nice transition from this shape now to the rest of the face, which means I want to press Alt-M to remove the mask. And then I'm going to use the smooth brush to smooth this edge here in the front, the straight line basically. There you go. Nice little transition to the rest of the face. One more thing that I want to do, we're not going to add the details here in the ear just yet. We're going to add that later. What I want to do though is I want to change the shape that we can see here in the back. The way we're going to change it is we're going to use the crease brush and we're going to just remove some of this volume here. And the way we're going to do it is we're going to begin down here at the earlobe and we're going to draw a parallel line to this outer edge here. I'm going to show you what that means. We're going to begin down here, start the line. If it doesn't draw as well, you can increase the strength a little bit. And then we're going to draw a line that is parallel to this outer edge. And just continue drawing it. Drawing it until you reach the top. There you go. Where it transitions to the front basically. There you go. So we have the first line here. And now what we want to do is we kind of want to adjust this volume that we have here on the right side. First thing that I want to do is I want to create like a smaller, deeper pocket, you could say, down here. So we're just going to use the crease brush again and just kind of dig in here a little bit. Like this. There you go. And then what I also want to do is we're just going to use the crease brush again here to just kind of dig in here and get rid of some of this volume here too. Not too much. I still want to keep some of this. I don't want to remove everything. There you go. So it looks something like this. We can see it's pretty rough. So we can now use the smooth brush again, holding shift to smooth the area around the ear. Or basically this geometry that we just created. There you go. If you tap with the smooth brush enabled, you can apply it very, very gently, I guess you could say, or lightly. If you hold it, it'll be a little bit stronger. Now we have the ears. You can see they're quite close to the face right now. So I think I want to push them out just a little bit more. I'm going to use my grab brush again and just push them out a little bit. In my opinion, my face is a little bit too wide right now. So I think I want to push it a little bit closer using the grab brush again, pushing it together just a little bit. Okay. You oftentimes just have to kind of check your scope and see whether or not everything is in a good position or not. And one more thing that I see is that my jaw right now is quite low. I think I want to raise it a little bit here, this edge right there. I'm just going to use the grab brush and just push it up a little bit. A good position for it would be somewhere on lip height. The lips are a good height for the ending of the jaw, I guess you could say. They're a little bit lower right now than the lips, but I think that's a good position for me. So right now it kind of comes to getting the likeness right, which can be a little bit fiddly. What I'm doing right now here is basically just kind of adjusting the smaller pieces to get it closer to what he looks like. So maybe we can change the lips a little bit, bring them a little bit higher, bring the jaw a little bit higher too. Also, you can make sure that the jaw from the bottom has a nice V shape here. You can see we have a little more volume than I want here on the side, so I'm going to push it in a little bit to make it more of a V shape, like this, nice and clean. That's better. I also want to lower the eyebrows a little bit, so we're just going to grab the eyebrows and just push them down a little bit. I'm also lacking a little bit of volume here in the eyebrows, so I'm just going to go ahead and add some more volume here. One thing about likenesses is that they will oftentimes look weird before you add the hair. So, you know, don't stress if it... We're not going to stress if it doesn't 100% look like him, I guess. I want to go to the side view and just kind of see if I want to adjust a few things here and there. One thing that I see is that there's quite a deep crease right here. So what I'm going to do is I want to just add a little bit more volume here. It should be quite close to the nostril. There's one more thing that I want to do before we refine the face. What we're going to do... Oh no, we're not going to refine the face first. We're going to add the neck first. There are a few adjustments that I want to do to the nose. I want to make this part here above the nose tip a little bit thinner using the grab brush. Kind of pushing it more into the middle like this. For the nose itself, I'm going to just create the nose tip I guess from the bottom of the nose, the middle here, and going then sort of in a V shape upwards. I'm going to go from here and draw upwards to this spot here. I'll draw to add just a little bit more volume here to the nose tip. And then I also want to add a little bit more volume down here by adding a small line down here. Not too much, just a little bit. What I want to do is I want to add the nose holes. They will still look quite rough, but that's okay. We're going to use the crease brush, make it quite strong, maybe like even one could work too. And we're going to go down so we can see the bottom of the nose. And we want to draw two ovals that are sort of tilted downwards. The oval will look something like this. There you go. So basically two ovals that are sort of tilted downwards to the right, bottom right, like this. We can then maybe even smooth the edge here. There are a few more adjustments that I want to do to the nose. First thing first, use the crease brush again to create the nostril shape, the final nostril shape, or the final nostril shape in this level of detail. We're going to go from the corner here of the nostril upwards like this, and then sort of in kind of this shape. It's sort of like a curve, I guess you could say, like this. We're going upwards and then into the direction of the nose tip, basically. My nose tip is quite flat right now, so I'm just going to add a little bit more volume here to the front, to the top, to make it a little bit rounder. How we're going to add the neck is we're going to use the mask brush. We're going to create a sphere that looks something like, like this. Basically between the ears, we're going to create a sphere like this. Then we're going to go back to the side view. We're going to invert the mask with the snake hook brush enabled. We're going to just draw it downwards, straight down, like this. There you go. Maybe this length here. And then we're going to draw it backwards too. Draw it down backwards just a little bit. Not too much, just a little bit. Like this. There you go. Looks kind of rough right now, so we're going to smooth it a little bit too, using the smooth brush, holding shift basically. Let's go to the rest of the, I guess, bust. One thing I like to do, doesn't necessarily change too much, but I like to use the smooth brush to just kind of flatten this part down here. Holding the smooth brush and just kind of applying it can make it nice and flat. What we want to do now is we want to go to the front part first. We want to draw, or we want to pull the edge forward a little bit. So we're just going to go to the front here and we're going to select it and draw it forward like this in a diagonal line that is a little bit steeper than the chin. Just a little bit. There you go. Not too far, just maybe like that. The next one that we're going to add is for the neck. So we're going to go to the back of the neck. We're going to select the side of this edge here, the side of the neck. And we're going to draw it, we're going to pull it downwards to the right. We're going to select it and draw it down like this. It doesn't have to be too steep. It can be a little bit, I guess, higher than the other one in the front. So we can see we have a tripod for the neck. Let's fill these holes that we have here by just kind of pulling the geometry here forward like this. And we create like a V shape basically. There you go, pull this forward, create this nice V shape here. And we're going to do the same in the back. We can see there's still geometry missing here. What we're going to do here is we're also going to just pull it down like this. And then fill this space here. So it looks something like this. We have a slight backwards tilt for the neck. And then we have the rest of the neck, I guess, here, where it gets wider. Mine is a little bit, I guess, is quite steep right now. So let me adjust it a little bit. I'm going to use the grab brush. I'm just going to select the corner here and pull it up a little bit. So I'm going to use the grab brush quite big and just pull it upwards a little bit like this. There you go. This is better. It can be significantly higher than the one at the bottom there. Another thing that I want to do is I want to adjust the neck shape here. How I want to adjust it is I want to just go here. I want to remove the mask now because we don't need it anymore. Alt M to remove it. And then we're going to go to the back here of the neck, right underneath where it connects to the head. And I just want to push it in a little bit. So I'm just going to go here and just kind of push it in just a little bit. Not too much, just to kind of create this nice S shape here. The distance here from the end of the head to the ear is quite far, so I'm just going to push this forward a little bit too. That's better. Another thing that I want to adjust right now is that you can see here, looking at the head, the widest part is down here, but it should be a little bit higher than the ear. So we're going to push this part here a little bit into the middle. Just a little bit, not too much. Okay. There's some room here that we need to fill. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the clay strips brush, and we're going to go here and just fill it up basically, so that when we go and look from the side, we have a nice straight line from the jaw or from the chin straight to the neck. So we're just going to use the crease brush and kind of fill this up. You can also do the same here on the side for the jaw, kind of make it nice and easy here, ease it up. Pretty good transition from one to the other, something like this. And then if you look from the side, it should look something like this. We're going to smooth it a little bit, like this, to make it nice and soft. There's one more transition that I want to create, which is coming from the back of the neck into the, I guess, back of the head. All we're going to do here is we're just going to add a little bit more volume here in the middle, like this. And then we're going to smooth it. There you go. Not too much, just a little bit. Let's, I guess, fine-tune the muscles of the neck a little bit, okay? We're going to begin by creating the clavicle. So this muscle that we can see here. How we're going to create it is we're going to go down here. We kind of estimate how far it should be down. I think that's quite a good distance here. You know, if it doesn't look good right in the beginning, you can still adjust it by using the grab brush. We're just going to draw a V shape down here. Draw a V shape like this. And then we're going to push this up to the corner that we see here, that we've pulled outwards. This corner right there. We're going to draw this V outwards like this, all the way up to there. There you go. So it looks something like this. What I want to do now is I want to pull this tip right there a little bit further forward and also adjust the shape that we can see here for this V shape. So what I want to do is I want to use the grab brush, make it bigger, and pull this tip right here a little bit further forward. Just kind of like this, so that it's roughly on ear height. What I want to do too is I want to make the V, which is right now kind of going straight to the tip. I want to create a rounder shape. What I mean by this, I just want to push the this line that we've created just a little bit further forward. The clavicle basically. Just kind of push it a little bit further forward so it's nice and round, which basically creates the chest. And of course, as you know, the chest is quite round. So by making the front a little bit rounder, we can kind of create the chest right there. We're not going to add the shoulders, so don't worry about the shoulders. But I want to add the chest just a little bit. Chest is fairly easy. All we're going to do is we're going to basically go and create lines. The first ones start here and go to the side. And the next ones right here in the middle of the chest basically. And the other ones connect to the clavicle here, the bone that we've just drawn, and go down to here basically, a little bit lower than the tip that we created. So we draw from here to the side, and the further we go to the right, the lower they get. There you go, something like this. So that we can create a nice little chest here. It looks something like this. It's not that big, and it's quite hard to kind of detail it out too much, so don't worry if it doesn't look too great. If you don't want, you can still, I guess, remove it at the end anyway. If you want, you can kind of smooth it so it looks more smooth, you know, more like skin rather than some sort of sculpt, I guess. There you go. For the neck muscles, let's begin with the biggest one, the one in the back, the trapezius. We're going to basically just go here to the side, and we're going to go to the right third line, I guess. This one right here. And what we're going to do here is we're going to grab the clay strip brush. We're going to start sort of drawing a line that goes diagonally behind the neck like this, and then up to the head like this. So we have a line that looks like this. What I want to do now is I want to make this here, the outer part or the right part of the behind part, let's say, a little bit rounder, give it more volume. So all we're going to do here is we're just going to use the clay strip brush and add more volume right here. Make it nice and round. So if you look from the front, it should look something more like this. And then we can also go to the back, and the back has a very distinct look to it. I'm going to show you how it looks. The way we're going to do it is we're going to hold Control so we can remove volume, and we're just going to draw a line downwards like this. There you go. Okay, perfect. That's for the spine. Now what I want to do is I want to draw lines. We're going to draw on this line lines outwards again to the tip right here. So we're going to draw this one, for example, basically just horizontal. This one goes upwards a little bit. This one is right in between. And this way we can add more volume right here. And the more we go over to this structure here, the more it kind of raises, so that we have a sort of transition going from here to here to here to here. That's sort of the structure that I want to add here. And that is basically just to kind of add more volume to the neck muscle. There you go. So it should look something like this in the end. Two more things that I want to do to finish the neck. The first thing that I want to do is I want to create the muscle that goes from the ear to this little V that we created here, the clavicle, the little V. So all we need to do is we need to go here to the ear. We're going to draw a line here from underneath the ear all the way down to this V basically here in the middle. But we can also start from the V, it's your choice. I'm going to start from the ear, go down like this, and to the V like this. There you go. Doesn't need to have too much volume. I just want to draw this line here. You can also, you know, kind of, I guess, add more volume first and then use the smooth brush to kind of ease it or kind of remove some volume again. All I want to do is add that muscle there, right there. Now what I want to do is I want to go right here in between these two muscles and just kind of remove a little bit of volume here. Not too much, just a little bit like this. There you go. The only thing that I want to do now is I want to go to the front of the neck, and I want to add just a little bit of a bump here in the front, just like this, in like a, I guess, V shape too. So it looks something like this, and then I want to smooth it here too. There you go. That's what I want to add here. If you encountered this problem here that I have here too, what that problem basically is, the stretching, is if you work on the surface here and you don't have a certain setting enabled, it basically also includes the geometry on the opposite side of the mesh. And because the brush is too big, it also affects the other side. You can go into the advanced settings and enable front faces only so that that doesn't happen. To fix it, you can just fill it up again with front faces only enabled, and that should fix it. There you go. Do the same here. And then if it still looks a little bit rough, we can use the smooth brush again to get rid of all the residue. There you go. In the front, we have some problems here too. I think the neck muscles right now, as I said before, are a little bit too highlighted. So I'm going to use the smooth brush again to just kind of smooth them down again. I want to make them a little bit flatter. They don't need to be like ultra refined or defined. More like this. There you go. Okay. Now all I want to do is I want to kind of go here, throw the rest of the neck and just kind of smooth this part here where it connects to the head to make it nice and to make it a nice smooth transition. If you don't like the geometry up here, as I do, I like to just tap over it with my smooth brush to get it nice and, yeah, smooth. And that basically includes everything that we need to do here for the first part. Let's actually go and add the hair first. I think the hair, we can add the hair now. We need to do one thing, which is we need to create a new geometry. We actually don't need to create a completely new geometry. We can duplicate the sculpt and then we can use the sculpt for the hair too. We're going to go back to the layout and we're going to press Shift D to duplicate it. I guess if you want to, you can rename it to know which one's which. Now I'm going to go back into the scope mode with the hair geometry selected. I'm going to go to the side view, and before I do anything, I go to the viewport settings here, and I change the color here in the viewport shading setting. Change the color from material to random. You can see they're exactly on top of each other, so we can only see one color. So this step might be intense for your PC. So if this leads your PC to crash, you can try another method that I'm going to tell you after I did it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go down here to this is the box trim brush. We're going to use the lasso trim, and we're going to remove everything. We can include, everything that is underneath the nose and the ear. Before we can do that though, we need to deactivate dynamic topology. So deactivate dynamic topology, then use lasso trim. We draw a circle around everything that should be removed. So everything right here. Remove that. It takes a while, and then we have something like this. This basically now includes everything that we need to keep to create a hairstyle. We want to push the hair geometry inside of the, head geometry. So we're going to do that by using the mesh filter brush, have it on inflate, and we're going to left click and then draw it to the left like this. And then we can see it's inside of the face. So it's right underneath it. We don't see it, but we can use it for the hair. If the lasso trim or the trim brushes don't work, you can also use the Boolean modifier. So you select the hair mesh, you grab a cube, for example, make it nice and big so it can fill the whole head, and then you just go down, exclude everything that isn't the top part, and then just apply that as a Boolean and remove everything down here. That can work too. We have resculpt on the hair mesh, and I want to use the clay strips brush to lay out the general shape of the hair. So now if you apply the brush again, you can see we bring back this yellow mesh. And we want to create the hair shape now. We're going to create a basic one first before we create the actual hairstyle. So all I want to do now is kind of fill the bald head with geometry, or cover it with this yellow geometry. For me it's yellow, for you it might be a different color. You can see this is sort of the shape that I go for in the back. It looks something like this. For the front, you can kind of gauge for yourself how high up you want to have the forehead. Maybe something like this should look pretty good. Okay, draw a horizontal line right there. Then we're going to go to the side of the ear. We're going to draw a line right here, so that we have the beginning here, or the side part of the ear, the hair. And then we're going to go around the ear right here, like this. And we're going to go connect these two pieces now. We're going to connect them by making this a V shape again, which goes backwards. So something like this. Then we're going to go to the side here, go up to it in this sort of diagonal line. And then there's one more thing we need to add. I want to fill this a little bit more. The way we're going to do this, we're going to look at the side of the eye here. We're going to draw a parallel line to it. Looks something like this. Not all the way up to the middle or to this line, just like this maybe, just a little bit further into the front. And then once we reach this point, we draw it upwards and we fill it. So this is basically the hairline. If it doesn't look great right now or then, we can still adjust it. There you go. You can also see, because we got rid of we went out of scope mode, it deactivated dynamic topology. So we need to reactivate it again. We have the basic head covered. Let's create the hairstyle. What I want to do first is I want to create the volume, and then we can create these individual hair strands. So what I want to do is I want to use the mask brush. I'm just kind of draw out where the band will be. Like this. That should be good enough. I think this volume is already good enough. We don't need to add more volume here. But where I want to add more is at the top. At the top, what I want to do is I'm just going to add more volume here. There you go. We can already kind of establish a hair flow by drawing these lines with the clay strips brush. As you can see, we can already create like a hair structure. Oftentimes you have like a small twirl here where the hair flow originates from. So keeping like a small, drawing these lines out from a certain spot here in the back of the head can create a nice hair flow. Like a little star here in the back, like this. I don't want it to add too much volume, just a little bit. There you go. Okay. Now, one more thing that we want to add are the eyebrows. The eyebrows we haven't added yet, so let's add them too. We can either do that with the clay surface brush or with the crease brush. Crease brush is a little bit more exact. I think we can begin with the clay strips brush though. Add the eyebrows here, starting from the middle, and then going upwards. The eyebrows, his eyebrows are a little bit, I guess, let's say unique, in that they sort of, I guess, protrude from his face a little bit, or they just go up. Let's just make them go up like this. So we're going to end them right there. So we're going to begin here, and we're going to follow this edge that we've created for the eyebrow until we end the end, and we go past the triangle until we end it somewhere over here. And we already have the, well, we have the block out basically done now. So now what we can do is we can refine the face. So what I want to do now is I want to go to layout again, or what we can also do is we can hover over the face and press Alt Q. This way we can switch to the face. Go to the dynamic topology settings and change the resolution from 20 to 50. We want to basically apply more geometry to the head. What you can do is you can press detail flood fill. This basically adds the 50 resolution to everything. But what I would rather use is the simplify brush here. Now just make the brush very, very big and basically draw over all of the geometry, or over, we're going to draw over the entire face. This will add more geometry to the entire face. I'm going to show you what it does. If I go to Shift Z, if you press Alt Z, you can see that's how it adds more geometry. So we want to add more geometry to the important parts of the face, which basically means the ear and the face. We're not going to care about the neck too much. And now we're going to add more resolution. The easiest way to immediately see the refined face is by going to the smooth brush. We need to adjust the smooth brush a little bit. We're going to go to the deformation and change it from laplation to the surface. The values that we're going to use here is 0.75, 0, and iteration 5. With this new smooth brush, we're just going to apply it basically. We're just going to swipe, or we're going to wipe over the entire sculpt basically, or over his face, so you can see what it does. If it gets quite laggy, maybe you should be a little bit slower with it, but this immediately smooths the face. This might already be pretty good for you. Maybe you don't want to do more, you know, but we're going to do a little bit more to refine the face. Regarding the ear has two big shapes that is basically made out of. It has a big C and a big Y, or a smaller Y. So the C basically just goes around from here, around the edge, into the middle. So it looks something like this. And then it goes into the middle of the ear, like this. There's a small hook to it. So we're going to use the crease brush and just follow the edge right. Oh, that's quite a strong crease brush. I'm going to decrease it, maybe 2.3. I'm going to create this C shape right here, like this. And then I'm going to go into the middle of the ear, like this. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the crease brush subtractively. So I'm going to dig into the sculpt and just create a volume, or I'm going to remove the volume around here, where it basically, you know, connects to the middle of the ear, let's say, this sort of hook right there. One more thing that we need to do is we need to bring back the smooth brush to the original form. So we select the smooth brush and switch it from surface to laplation. You can see here, we can see that the hair shape is kind of interfering with our endeavors, so we can hide the hair model for now. Now what I want to do is I want to continue this here and create a hole down here. Just kind of dig in here, create something like this. Nice little circular hole like this. The next step that I want to do is I want to smooth this part here that sort of transitions into the middle. Just kind of smooth it a little bit so that it's a smoother transition, let's say, like this. And then I want to add this small little bump. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the crease brush, hold control to kind of just pull out geometry like this in a circular motion. There you go. Something like this. There you go. Doesn't have to be perfect. The next thing that I want to do is I want to go and continue this crease here all the way around the C, basically. So I'm going to continue this crease all the way around to sort of enforce this C shape like this. Make it nice and visible. Perfect. We have this sort of, I guess, ball here in the middle, this area, and we want to split it up into two pieces. So what we're going to do is we're going to basically just remove this sort of V shape from it so that this is left. So this is the Y shape and this is the C shape basically. We're going to use the crease brush and just kind of dig in here to do something like this. There you go. There's one more thing that I want to do is I want to get rid of a little bit more volume here. And then I want to adjust the shape of it a little bit more here in the middle. Make it nice and round. Or my ears are quite like elf ears. They should be a little bit rounder, so I'm going to move this edge up here a little bit lower. Make it nice and round. Smooth brush and grab brush should do the trick. There you go. So what I want to do now for the face is I want to use the crease brush to add some more definition to everything. Let's begin with the nose. So what I want to do first with the nose is I want to, for mine at least, I want to push the tip a little bit lower. So for the bottom of the nose, we can make this part here quite sharp. So we're just going to go into here with the crease brush, make it nice and sharp like this. Then what I want to do is I want to use the crease brush again from the middle and draw a line to the sort of end here of the nostril. That looks something like this. There you go. Not too strong. And then we can smooth it a little bit too with the smooth brush. For the nostril, what I want to do is I want to kind of just refine the fold that we have here. So we're just going to draw a line and following the structure that we already have, like this. There's, at least for me, a little bit more volume that I want to have here, so I'm just going to use the smooth brush, kind of push that down a little bit, make it nice and smooth here. There you go, perfect. Let's go to the nose hold and refine it a little bit more. We're going to create these ovals again that are sort of following the nose shape itself. So we're going to go to add these ovals here again that get closer as they go into the middle of the nose. Something like this. And then there's one more thing that I want to adjust, which is the, I guess, nose shape from the bottom. It should be a little bit more pointy at the top. So I want to push the side here a little bit into the middle. Something more like this. There you go. So it has this nice heart shape again. So many hearts in the face. Right now the lips look very sharp, the edges of the lips. So what I want to do first is I want to kind of just go over the edge and just kind of use the smooth brush very gently. And just kind of make everything nice and smooth. Kind of ease the strength of the edge. Like this. The next thing that I want to do is I want to add more volume to the lips themselves. We're going to do that by creating 5 volumes basically. The first one is here in the middle. Just add some more volume right here. There you go. The next 2 are here on the side. So we're just going to add some more volume here on the side. Like this. Make it nice and round. So if you look from the side, it should look something like this. This might be too round. So I'm going to remove a little bit more here in the front again. It should look something like this at the end. We want to refine the, I guess the lip just a little bit again by using the crease brush again. Just very, very gently adding a slight edge back to it. But mainly only here in the middle. The side can be rather smooth. Let's go to the lower lip. With the lower lip we have 2 pieces that we need to add, or 2 volumes, which are basically right here. One here and then one here. So we're going to just add some more volume right here. Of course the other side gets created automatically. Okay, perfect. And then if there's quite a big crease here in the middle, we can also add a little bit more volume here. Just a little bit, not as much as on the sides here, but a little bit is always good. There's one more thing that I want to do to finish the lips. I want to go to the corner. I want to draw a line from the corner upwards like this. To kind of end the shape of the lip, like this. See how it kind of separated this sort of bump here from the lips? That's what I wanted to do. Then we can kind of smooth it again. I want to go to the nostril, and I want to draw a line from here to the corner of the mouth. The line will look something like this. There you go. Not completely, not connected to the corner, but a little bit further away from it. Like this. There you go. So from the front, it should look something like this. We're going to use the smooth brush again, tap it to make it a little bit, I guess, smoother, you know. But we still want to keep the crease right here. The chin right now for me looks a little bit, I guess, looks very disconnected from the rest of the, I guess, jaw right now. You can see here there's quite a big steep decline. So I'm just gonna go down here again and just kind of connect it again by adding a little bit more volume here and then smoothing it. There you go. The only thing that I really want to fine tune now is the eyes and the eyebrows. As you can see, his eyebrows, there's like a small middle piece in between. So let's create that first. We're going to go here and just crease it like this while keeping the middle part intact. Like this. Perfect. Okay, that's the first line that we want to do. And then I just want to go here to the eyebrows themselves and sort of reinforce this V shape that we've drawn before by just adding a little bit more volume here. Like this. And then draw upwards and draw to the side. Perfect. Then we're gonna smooth it just slightly, tapping it to kind of ease it into the rest of the sculpt. There you go. Let's go to the eyes now. So for the eyes, let's first of all make sure that the eyelids have the same thickness all around the eye. Right now we can see it's quite thin here, it's quite thin here, it's quite thick here. Let's make sure that it's nice and smooth. We're nice and even everywhere. We're just going to use the crease brush and the smooth brush to get that done. They're just jealous? Yeah. Especially Hustler. He's very jealous. Okay. There you go. So that should be good enough. If you want to adjust the eye shape now is the perfect time to do so. I think that's pretty good. The lower eyelid can be a little bit straighter, I guess, than the upper eyelid. The upper eyelid can be quite round. And then one more thing that we haven't added yet is the tear duct. The tear duct is fairly simple to add. I'm just going to go here to the corner of the eye and I'm going to create like a U shape that looks like this. There you go. And then we have the tear duct. Perfect. I want to sort of refine this fat around the eye a little bit. Before I do that though, I see right now I at least have like quite a harsh edge here. So I'm going to use the smooth brush to kind of ease it a little bit. There you go. Okay, not too much, just a little bit. Looked a little bit too sharp to me. Then what I want to do is I want to go to the bottom here and just kind of bring back a little bit of this structure or this volume. So we have a nice transition from the eye to the cheekbone right here. Maybe the cheekbones are a little bit too wide for me right now. I'm going to push them in a little bit. Yeah, that looks better. The cheekbone is a little bit too far forward too. I'm going to push it back just a little bit like this. We can see we've added this line here, but I want to add a little bit more volume to this piece here, to this fan pad on the right side. I'm just going to add some more volume here and bring it all the way to the inner corner here of the eye, right here. Just connected to the nose basically, like this. Perfect. Once we have that, we can smooth it again, make it nice and smooth. Okay, maybe not that high, it can be a little bit lower. Roughly it can end at the tear duct Something more like this. It's quite defined right now. I kind of want to smooth it a little bit more. There you go. Just use the smooth brush again to smooth it. We can see here this band pad is okay, but I want to kind of fill this spot a little bit more. We can see the cheekbone is quite, I guess, defined right now. I kind of want to ease it a little bit more into the face, kind of get rid of this sharp edge. And I'm going to add some more geometry and just use the crease brush, the clay surface brush to kind of fill this area up. Then use the smooth brush to make it nice and smooth. That's way better. One more thing, I want to refine the jaw muscle. So I'm going to just add a little bit more volume to this part here. To this part. Just add a little bit more. Not too much, just very, very lightly. And then smooth it again. There you go. Perfect. For the hair, I'm not going to go through the entire process of creating the refined hair. So the high-res hair, we're going to go through the process with 20 resolution. So we need to, first of all, Alt-Q, switch to this sculpt. And then we need to go to the resolution again and switch to 20. Okay, because we've adjusted the face a little bit, we can see here the eyebrows are a little bit too, I guess, low. So we need to push them out using the grab brush, for example, to show them again. And then, of course, here we can see the cheekbone is a little bit too wide. Get rid of that. There you go. So one thing you could do is you could duplicate this mesh again. Let's do that right now. We're going to duplicate this mesh again. And then we're going to go back to the sculpt mode. We will now basically use the mesh filter again to push it underneath the hair. This pink one here, and push it underneath the hair. Before we do that, we need to remove the mask though. So Alt-M. We're going to push it underneath the hair by clicking and then left click. If we have these problems here where it's kind of penetrating the surface, we can just use a clay strips brush, for example, and then smooth it to get rid of these problems. And then what we can do is we can use this layer or this new duplicate to create the band around the hair. So we're just going to sculpt the band right here. Or this bandana. Go all the way around the face. So this will basically be the guide for the hair. This can be helpful when we want to create the sort of hairstyle, because we know where it's not allowed to be. We can use the smooth brush again to make it nice and smooth. There you go. And now we have the bandana or the band, whatever it is. We can now go back to the hair. So Alt-Q to switch to the hair, and now we can create the actual hairstyle. The volume we already have, but now it comes to the actual hairstyle. To create the hairstyle, I like to use the crease brush. We're going to use the crease brush for this. We're going to make it quite strong. And now we're going to draw individual strands, like basically. So we're going to hold Control and just kind of draw individual strands with quite a small brush, like this. Do that throughout the entire hair, of course. There you go. It's not gonna go over the band just yet. We're gonna do that in just a second. You can see it's still symmetrical. If you want to create I guess, you know, hair is usually not symmetrical. So if you want to, I guess, fix it in the end, you can remove symmetry and then do some more individual strands, you know, without symmetry. We're going to do the same here on the side. Add some individual strands here too. The silhouette right now of the hair looks very smooth and very round. Now we want to go ahead and create actual individual hair strands that actually also go over the hair band, I guess. What we're going to use for that is the snake hook brush again. We can actually now remove symmetry if you want. So go down here, remove symmetry. And then we're going to use the snake hook brush. We're actually going to change the fall off from smooth to linear. And then if we just kind of make the cursor quite small, we can pull out individual strands like this. And these we're going to use to create, individual hair strands basically. We're going to do that here around the band first. And then we're going to go over the rest of the hairstyle. We're just going to pull them in different directions to create these individual hair strands. So this might not be, you know, this way of creating hair will probably be, I guess, harder to retopologize. So this might not be, you know, I don't advise to maybe using this for the hair as the final hair for your character, you know. Of course, this is very useful if you, for example, want to use particle hair. Then this works quite well because you can create like a base layout that you can then use to lay out your hair particles. But, you know, this can be quite hard to at least manually retopologize. So now I've kind of covered the top half here. Maybe we can add a little bit more. What I want to do now is I want to go into the middle here. We covered the sort of side part. Now I want to cover the top two. I'm just kind of drag out some more of these to create a nice hair-like silhouette, basically. Do different arcs, either inwards or outwards, like this. That's outwards. And that's inwards to create a different sort of structure here. Just going to pull out more and more of these hair strands. And then, once we've kind of covered the entire head, we have the first, I guess, we're almost done with the, I guess, the rough sculpt. The next part would be to go ahead and go to 50 resolution again and then refine it. But that's not what we're going to do here. We're going to keep it at 20 for this sculpt, you know. But if you want to, you can refine it again, basically just how you did it, how we did it for the face, using the crease brush again, and maybe even the smooth brush to kind of, you know, add some more definition to the hair. There you go, drag it in all directions. Perfect. We're going to do the same here on the side, just kind of adding some smaller strands here too. Back in the back too, just to kind of create a more rough, I guess, hair structure. You know, kind of red. They looked very, very, I guess, as one shape, let's say. The hair, it didn't really look like individual hair. So by pulling them out, we can kind of create individual hair particles or hair strands to make it look a little bit more, you know, like hair, because it's not just one shape, I guess you could say. One wavy shape. It actually is made out of individual pieces or individual strands. Let's go to the eyebrows too and do the same here. Just pull them forward. There you go, that looks pretty good. Okay. So now all I want to do now is I want to use the crease brush again and just kind of reinforce these strands that we just pulled out by creasing them and kind of separating them from each other like this. Yeah, we can kind of separate them. We can either do it with the without or with control. There you go. And if we do that, you know, throughout the head, we can get quite a good looking hairstyle going. Of course, this is still a rough cut, let's say. You know, we could refine it, but I wanted to focus more on the face for this. So we don't want to, you know, the hair is not the focus. And of course, if you still want to add more detail to the face, you can still do that. You can add more resolution, like 100, for example. That would be the next step to add even more resolution, even more detail. But we're going to stop at 50. I think 50 is a good spot to end when you don't want to have like super ultra realistic characters, which this, you know, isn't necessarily. We can still hear we have the ear still. We can get rid of the ear, for example, by just smoothing it. So if we smooth this, we can kind of get rid of it. We can, for example, hide everything else except for the yellow mesh. And then we can, for example, just use the smooth brush to get rid of it. That's one way. We could also use a Boolean modifier and then just kind of shape a model around the ear to kind of remove it. I think the smooth brush is the easiest way to do it. There you go. Oh, of course we have symmetry disabled, which is kind of my bad, I guess. Okay, so that's the ear in the yellow mesh. We have the same in the pink mesh for the bandana. It's not 100% done. There's one more thing I want to do. If we go back to the layout, we can adjust the eyes. I want to make these eyes actually look like eyes. Select the eyes in layout mode. And then you press numpad / I guess. Or what we can also do is we can just kind of move it out of the face. And then I want to go into the sphere, press edit mode. And what I want to do is I want to go to look at the individual rings that we have here. I want to go to the second full ring. We have the inner circle, we have the first ring, and then we have the second ring. I want to add a cut to the second ring. Select the small ring, the bigger ring in the middle, and then the circle in the middle. I want to extrude it inwards, just slightly, just a little bit like this. I want to scale it on the y-axis, so SY0, so that it's straight. You can see it kind of is already, it's back forward in front of the rest of the geometry, so I want to push it back into the eye, like this. Now what I want to do is I want to remove the small edge here, X, dissolve edge. Select the circle here in the middle. In face select the circle, move it back. Now what I want to do, I want to extrude it backwards. Quite far, like maybe more than the middle, right there. And I want to scale it. Now if I go back into object mode, I can apply a subdivision modifier. And we need to crease some edges. The two edges that I want to crease is this one here in the middle, with the eye hole. So Shift E to crease it. And then the other one is the one here, right there, this one. It's not the outer one, it's the one behind that. If you press Shift E on that, you can see that's what it looks like. And now we can make it nice and smooth. There you go. And we can put it into the eye again, into the eye, I guess, hole. There you go. And we can see it's sort of covered by sculpt, so we need to remove some of the sculpt to finish the eye. We need to go back into the sculpt and remove some of that geometry. We reduce the resolution, so we need to bring it back to 50 and just kind of get rid of this geometry here. We can see there's more. We can care about that later. The first sculpt is good. There you go. So that's the first part of the sculpt, the actual face. Hollowed out. Go to the other one, maybe the pink one. Alt Q to switch. Get rid of this. Okay, and then the yellow one too, and go in here. If there's any geometry kind of getting through the surface, you can still get rid of it, of course. Oh, the other side too. Oh, there's one more thing we could do, is we could create a little crease here for the eyelid. Just create this little crease right there. As you can see, we need to go back to the other mesh again. Get rid of this. There you go, perfect. That is Ryu.